This is Parlor Floorr, episode 4 of season 2 of Tales of the Darkside, where right away our two protagonists, well, maybe antagonists, couple Linda and Doug have run into a big problem. They are unable to, because of the rent control policies in their city, to evict their last remaining tenant, Mars Gillis, and he has the best spot in the house, the Parlor Floorr. I wasn't sure what a Parlor Floorr was, but luckily there's Google. This is not 1985. Where the Parlor Floorr is typically located on the main floor near the entrance. It is used for formal gatherings, or in this case, a guy who practices voodoo. Parlor rooms have a more desirable position than a true ground level apartment. So basically, he is the best room in the house, and they want to evict him. And right away we can see that the main character, Linda, is cute but dastardly.
4 floors and only 2 of us, that'd be a pretty neat trick.
Darn. And he has the best room in the house, the Parlor Floorr. I have such dreams for this house. It is just not fair. And making it a special place, and he gets to stay here practically free.
She is not very nice, and her husband is a little more accommodating to this last remaining tenant, but she really wants him gone. She's gonna try to figure out some way to evict him from this apartment. The government be damned. She will find a way. Her plan is to get Mars to work for them. They're doing some painting in the house, and she's going to have Mars, the tenant, help. But she's going to make it very hard on him, and hopefully just drive him away by being kind of a female dog. Mars is paying $95 a month to live in this nice, grandiose Parlor Floorr in this 4-story townhouse, which is the equivalent to $278 per month in today's money, which is still a great deal. If you can find a Parlor Floorr for $278, take it, even if you got to deal with Linda.
We'll never find another base like that. You better make him pay for it.
How about going back to the Housing Bureau? He uses that room as a place of business. I'm sure there's some law about that.
Mars, their tenant, is also practicing voodoo in the house, which I think would make everyone uncomfortable. Not that that's why they're bothered, they just want the entire 4-story building to themselves. And didn't realize when they rented this room that there's rent controls and they can never actually evict anyone. Maybe they live in New York City. But you don't really have a good guy or a bad guy. At first you feel a little sympathetic for Mars, but then you see he's actually doing voodoo rituals in this Parlor Floorr. And eventually he actually puts a curse on Linda and her husband. And they start having bad things happen to them. Doug gets hit with a hammer, Linda hurts herself, and their cat ends up being killed. And worst of all, Linda finds out that she's pregnant and falls off this ladder, and she has an accidental miscarriage.
Well, I have a real broken wrist, and I'm going to a real hospital, not to a witch doctor. You don't want me to pay him, and now you want me to pay him because of a dead cat?
There's something else I haven't told you.
What?
The doctor said it must have been the fall from the ladder.
We'll try again. What's important is that you're okay.
So when Mars is confronted about this, like, why did you put this curse on us? He explains that he actually didn't mean to have things die like the cat, or for her to have a miscarriage. Maybe he's a little too powerful with his voodoo. And he ends up feeling really guilty about this curse put on them that they can't really erase, that he ends up hanging himself in a pretty chilling scene. Kind of comes out of nowhere too. You don't really expect him to do this. And then we learned that Linda is actually even crazier than we thought at the beginning. She's pretty stuck up, doesn't seem to really care about other people's feelings. But we find out that it was actually her.
But that gave you the idea, didn't it? You purposely fell off that ladder, didn't you? And the cat. You killed the cat. You even realize that you killed that old man, do you?
Please get it back.
You weren't even really pregnant, were you? All that I want to do is get away from you.
Our hero Doug is in a predicament as old as time, as his sweetheart flails her arms aimlessly like a little child who got their favorite teddy taken away. He considers his next move. Should he leave this fiery redhead alone to her demise, a bed that she dug herself like a caretaker at a graveyard, laying down the last rose for his long-lost love? Or should he go downstairs and get her ring from the corpse of Mars? He knew he was playing with fire the first time he saw her cute, innocent eyes hiding a Medusa stare, her angel-like voice sounding like a siren. She killed their cat, and faked the pregnancy. All red signs that were hitting him over the head like an 18-wheeler slamming into his truck after too many Jack Daniels. But she was wild in every way possible, fun, erratic, unpredictable, made love like a banshee and he was committed to stay with her, and maybe from now on, hide the family pets, and use a condom on this temptress. He would do her bidding, go downstairs, and get her long-lost ring. And we get a kind of very Tales from the Crypt ending, Whenever anyone comes back from the dead, it reminds me of Tales from the Crypt because they do that all the time. Tales from the Darkside, they don't do it as much. It's typically people selling their souls to the devil. That's what they do in this series a lot. But Mars gets buried with all of his jewelry, all this gold that he's collected from all these people that he's put curses out on or helped put curses on. That's how he gets paid, in gold. He doesn't take cash, he takes gold. Sounds like a pretty good deal to me. But they're burying the gold with him, and Linda goes back to get her gold ring that she gave him. And we get the Tales from the Crypt ending. So I think Parlor Floorfront's actually pretty good. I've seen this series all the way through before. This one didn't really stand out, but watching it again, I think it's a solid episode. But I'm going to give it a high 5. And I do like the twist that it's half the curse, having bad things happen to them, and half Linda just being crazy and doing bad things to herself. But she looks alright. We see some pretty famous actors in this episode. There's only 4 characters, but the sister of Mars is played by Rosetta Lenore, who everybody will recognize as being the grandmother, Estella, in every single episode of Family Matters. Their neighbor Mars is played by Adolph Caesar, who was in a lot of blaxploitation movies. He announced a lot of the trailers for like Blackula, and also one such as, let me try this, hold on, let me try this. The River Niger, I got it, Square Root of the Soul, Brownsville Raid, and the sequel to Blackula, Scream Blackula Scream, The Color Purple, and unfortunately passed away in 1986 while working on the movie Tough Guys with Burt Lancaster and Kirk Douglas, where he died on the set from a heart attack at the age of 52. Unfortunate. And a year after this episode aired. The character Linda was played very well by Donna Bullock, who's not related to Sandra Bullock. She was Connie in the TV show Dallas, and the press secretary in the great Harrison Ford movie Air Force One. Next up is episode 5 of our journey through every single episode of Tales from the Darkside. Good, bad, indifferent. Well, this one happens to be pretty good. It's Halloween Candy. It's another Halloween episode. The pilot, episode 0, Trick or Treat, was a Halloween episode, and this one also is one. And they both share a lot of similarities, so which one is better? Well, stay tuned and find out. This one is directed by Tom Savini and written by Michael McDowell. It's the Dream Team. It's the Harlem Globetrotters. So get ready, strap yourself in, and get ready for the Dream Shake. Check out our playlist for all the episodes in order of Fear Itself, Monsters, and Tales from the Darkside.